With a wind chill of -50 degrees and winds raging over 100, your senses are completely paralyzed. This land forbids human survival. This is the Arctic. For professional mountaineers crossing these polar regions, what they fear most is not the whiteout blending sky and earth, nor the giant crevasses hidden beneath their feet. It is frostbite, the thief of sensation. Paralyzed feet send no signals of pain to the brain. By the time you notice, the flesh has already turned black. Countless explorers faced this silent attack, losing their toes or entire feet. In this extreme arena, what protects the feet from fatal threats and enables the next step forward? It is the hiking boot. This is not merely a shoe, but the most critical gear for survival. Yet, barely a century ago, the footwear mankind relied on was too fragile to guarantee survival. Back then, people looked to their immediate surroundings for answers. In the rugged mountains of Korea, they relied on shoes woven from straw or hemp. They were light with good grip, but once wet from snow or water, they froze instantly, a fatal flaw. In the Alps, Europeans took a different approach. They reinforced thick leather with heavy iron hobnails for durability. But while these nails were strong on dirt, they slid like skate blades on smooth rock. And the cold creeping up through the metal chilled the feet to the bone. Ultimately, this flaw invited tragedy. In the Italian Alps in 1935, the boot's limitations led to a disaster claiming 6 lives. Witnessing this tragedy, mountaineer Vitale Brahmani found his answer in automobile tires. Rubber that wouldn't slip on any terrain. With the advent of this innovative outsole, Vibram, everything changed. Humans began to go higher and farther, planting flags in the vertical world once called impossible. Footwear had expanded the boundaries of human potential. The handmade hiking boots we are exploring represent a perfect trinity: the last, the upper, and the sole. This sophisticated engineering resembles the fastest machines on Earth, the kings of the asphalt, Formula One racing cars. At extreme speeds, the ability to sprint on track depends on 3 elements. The chassis maintains structural stability, the body shields the driver from impact, and the tires perfectly control the road surface. Thanks to the triumph of these 3 precisely calculated systems, they sprint from 0 to 100 in just 2 seconds. They reach top speeds of 370 kilometers per hour and corner in total defiance of gravity. These hiking boots are no different. The only difference is that they are born not in a lab filled with high-tech equipment, but in a small workshop in Seoul, worn with the traces of time. Let's step into that space where time seems to stand still. Our journey begins in Seoul, the capital of South Korea. From the outside, it looks like an ordinary building, but inside rings the ceaseless rhythm of hammers striking for decades. That sound, heavy with the weight of time, tells the history of this workshop. It began after the Korean War, transforming discarded British military boots into Korea's first hiking shoes. Over 4 generations, this technology evolved to conquer the Himalayas and polar regions. The entire process begins with a perfect understanding of a single person's foot. First, to grasp the foot's shape, basic measurements like width, length, and instep height are taken. To create the last, the absolute standard for fit, the customer's foot is imprinted in a memory foam box. The instant the foot steps down, a hidden map emerges, revealing every zone of high and low pressure. The artisan deciphers movement using data accumulated over decades. From the foam imprint, he predicts every risk. How the arch collapses in motion, or where the unique shape invites friction. Nothing is overlooked. Guided by this data, the casting begins. powder meets water heating and hardening, the plaster captures every minute detail of the foot. This is not mere replication, it is interpretation. Most mass-produced shoes fall into the trap of the average. They are generalized shapes derived from millions of data points. But your foot is not an average. Even your left and right feet are never identical. Average implies compromise, and in the wild, compromise invites disaster. Studying the cast, the artisan accounts for every variable. Expansion during the stride, room for thick socks, and freedom in the toe box. Nothing is left to chance. This cast serves as the master blueprint for two core processes, constructing the skeleton and the foundation. First, the cast shapes the custom insole base, the direct interface with your foot. Resembling bread dough, this substance is a blend of natural cork and silicone. It evenly disperses body weight, a critical factor in fighting fatigue on long expeditions. The mixture is applied to the base, then firmly compressed by the cast to imprint every contour and arch height with absolute precision. Meanwhile, the custom last, the skeleton of the boot, is being crafted. Think of it as a car's chassis, the structural foundation supporting the drivetrain. The artisan layers cork onto a ready-made last and carves it away, physically grafting the unique details from the plaster cast. This embodies his philosophy. Only then can the boot unite with your foot, becoming a true extension of your body.
그래갖고 배럴만 잡아주면 되잖아.
이만큼인데 좌측은 여기서 조금 더 해라.
알았어. 끓인 건지 짝짝인지 알 수가 있나.
A pattern modeled from the custom last is applied to the prepared base and precision cut. With the length defined, rough edges are honed smooth, and a fabric layer is fused to complete the work. The insole of a handmade boot is a mirror of your footprint. Reacting to body heat and pressure, it evolves over time, molding perfectly to your unique shape. Now it is time to clad it in tough armor to withstand harsh environments. Crafting the upper. Using rugged cowhide about 3 millimeters thick, 3 times thicker than regular dress shoes, durability is maximized. A single pair of boots requires these various complex pattern pieces. Whether it is for the ankle or the heel support, to the untrained eye, they are just unfamiliar puzzle pieces. Notably, the front of the outer skin is designed as a single piece, using whole leather. This design minimizes stitching to enhance waterproofing and prevent the leather from bursting. Optimally arranging these countless pieces on a single sheet of leather. That is the know-how. Now, assembly. The cut leather and special fabrics merge into a single upper. First, the outer skin takes shape. The dozens of puzzle pieces cut earlier are stitched into one form along precise seams. The principle is to double stitch every seam. Using 3-ply twisted thread instead of the 2-ply used in dress shoes, a much stronger upper is created. As the tongue covering the instep finds its place and the heel is sewn, the flat leather finally reveals a 3-dimensional contour. Next is reinforcement work to secure structural stability in rough environments. Unlike ready-made shoes using 3 to 4 layers of fabric, this upper combines 8 to 9 layers of fabric and stiffeners stacked for durability. This reinforcement is essential to prevent the leather from stretching or tearing due to tension from tight laces or external impacts. Once reinforced, lace holes are punched. With the outer skeleton complete, special fabric from Scholler, Switzerland is combined inside for perfect waterproofing and breathability. This is no simple fiber. It is an intelligent material that self-regulates its pores in response to external temperature and your body heat. Scholler took inspiration from pine cones. Just as pine cones open and close scales based on weather, the fabric opens to release moisture when you heat up and closes to trap warmth when you cool down. Finally, the lace hooks are attached. These metal components, called eyelets, prevent the laces from tearing the leather. A strike of the hammer secures the lace hooks perfectly. The upper is finally complete, but it cannot yet be called a shoe. It is more like a well-made leather bag. Now begins the heart of the handmade process, where the artisan's passion burns brightest. It is the work of breathing life into leather, lasting. It is the process of fitting and fixing the finished upper onto the custom last. The lining is first combined with the insole, followed by the outer skin. This work, where force meets precision, involves ceaseless pulling and hammering to ensure every part of the upper adheres completely to the last, eventually making the shoe one with you. The ends of the upper, tautly pulled by dozens of nails, are nailed down with the insole to fix them. With this, the upper and insole connect as one and your foot shape is imprinted into the shoe. It waits in this state for about a day, giving the leather time to settle into the shape of the last. Even this sophisticated upper is meaningless if it cannot grip the ground. Now for the point of contact with the earth, the sole production. The sole is not a simple chunk of rubber, but a precisely engineered multi-layer structure, just like the upper. This insole we made earlier was the start of the sole production. This boundary line where the upper meets the insole is the most vulnerable point for water infiltration. So, bottom waterproofing must perfectly seal even the invisible parts. Before attaching the midsole, there is a task to be done. The shank, the spine of the hiking boot, must be attached. Without this rigid core, the shoe would twist easily, and your soles would feel the sharpness of every stone. Next is connecting the midsole. The midsole performs the core mission of shock absorption because immense stress is applied to knees and ankles, with every step due to body weight and backpack load. The special foam used in the midsole protects your joints by converting this impact energy into heat and dissipating it, absorbing tens of thousands of shocks on your behalf. The 5mm thick rubber midsole is pressed down firmly to attach without gaps. Then, the artisan uses thick waterproof thread to hand stitch the upper and midsole one stitch at a time. It takes a full 3 hours to sew just one pair. In this grueling repetition of pulling thread through thick leather, the artisan's fingerprints have worn away. There is no retirement age here. With an average of 30 years experience, Those who have aged with shoes for half a century keep their place solely out of pride in their work until they reach their physical limits. Now, the final piece of all these structures, the outsole that directly touches the ground. This complex lug pattern is meticulously designed for terrain and movement. The direction, depth, and spacing of the rugs grip the soil on uphills to create propulsion and maximize traction on wet rocks. The shoe is placed in the sole press and subjected to powerful pressure. This pressure integrates the independent upper and soles into one solid system. But it is not over yet. The midsole and outsole are stitched using the Norwegian welt technique. This rugged stitching, which folds the upper outward and sews it together with the sole, is a survival technique from the Alps that fundamentally blocks water intrusion. The thick stitches clearly visible along the rim are not mere decoration, but proof of toughness, that it is ready to face rough nature. Now, the final touch to the entire process, finishing. It is the process of nourishing the leather and applying a waterproof shield. Under the artisan's touch, the leather regains its deep color and laces are tied. The completion of a hiking boot ultimately happens at the user's fingertips. Proper lacing is a way to ensure your safety. The moment a lace comes undone on a rough mountain path, the shoe turns from protective gear into a hazard inviting accidents. Finally, the handmade hiking boot is complete. A touch that allows no margin for error, thousands of hammer strikes, and the artisan's long time and tenacity encompassing this whole process. This is not something produced in a factory. A one-of-a-kind masterpiece in the world has been born. Now, leaving the workshop in Seoul behind, we head to Busan, a safety shoe manufacturing site in Busan. If the hiking boots we saw earlier were born to conquer the wild, the safety shoes made here face a completely different enemy. It is the hazards of industrial sites. The most striking difference lies in the core component hidden inside the leather, the toe cap. Safety shoes have a solid steel helmet planted in that spot to protect toes from falling materials. Prioritizing uncompromising hardness is essential to prevent toes from being crushed by falling heavy metals or materials. The manufacturing method is also different. The time of endurance where the artisan wrestled with leather and hammered thousands of times is replaced here by standardized molds and the overwhelming speed of molding machines capturing precise shapes. The method of combining the sole is also different. The artisan's touch that poured heart into stitching through thick leather is replaced by a pen line, becoming a clear standard. Adhesive is applied along the line, and high heat is applied to fix the upper and sole without gaps. It is the modern answer to providing perfect safety, where even a boiled egg wouldn't break, equally and quickly to everyone. And technology continues to evolve. 3D printing technology will instantly output custom cushioning that reacts perfectly to your gait and weight. The emergence of smart hiking boots is inevitable. Built-in sensors might analyze your fatigue, ground temperature, and slip risks in real time to warn you. Innovation in materials will also accelerate. Lab-grown mushroom mycelium leather will replace traditional materials, enabling lighter and more eco-friendly exploration. This innovation transcends the boundaries of the hiking boot, extending into our daily lives. 3D printing evolves into medical implants, while sensors become smart safety gear for workers. And mushroom leather transforms cars and furniture. While the artisan's devotion crafts a perfect custom hiking boot for someone else, we visited another work site. The next episode features the B-3 bomber jacket that protected pilots in the air at 25,000 feet and minus 60 degrees. We will follow the production process of how rough sheepskin is completed into a sturdy flight suit. If you enjoyed this journey of amazing technology, don't forget to click subscribe and the notification bell. What was the best hiking boot you've experienced, or the worst one that tortured your feet? Please share your vivid stories in the comments below. Thank you for watching.